Hey guys, Budget RC here, and today we've got video 2 in our Redcat Gen 7 upgrade series. For video 2, we're going to concentrate on durability, and we're going to do this in one key way. What we're going to do is replace the plastic lockers that come in the Gen 7 Sport with the metal lockers that are found in the Gen 7 Pro. While we're in the front differential, we're also going to replace the front dog bones with CV Axles, again from the Gen 7 Pro. Now, I'm not sure that there's really a reliability issue with respect to the dog bones, but for our upcoming steering changes, we're going to want to go ahead and use the CVAs. So while we're in those differentials, we're going to make that swap too. So stick around. We're going to take you through the rear first, show you how to get it apart, then we'll do the same with the front. And once you have that, you'll have everything you need to be able to go ahead and get those plastic lockers replaced. And if you noticed something different about the body, stick around, because one of our upcoming videos is going to be the cosmetic video, where we show you how to give your vehicle some low-cost cosmetic appeal without breaking the bank. So stick around. So to get the rear differential out, we're going to have to do a few things. We're going to start by taking the wheels off, and then once the wheels are off, we're going to disconnect the 4 linkages and the shocks from the rear diff. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll come right back. Okay, so I took the wheels off just to make this a little easier. You don't have to take the wheels off. You can get to this from underneath, but I think this makes it a little bit more clear. To get the drive shaft off, you've got a couple of 1.5mm set screws. You've got one on each end. You've got this one here, and then you've got the one up at the transmission. Alright guys, so once you pull the shocks and links off, this is the differential. Just a real quick thing here. The shocks and the lower outer links are both attached using the same nut and bolt, which is nice and convenient. You pull that out and the shock and the link come apart. And then on the top there's one more screw and nut to remove the top 2 links. Once you get this out, now you've got to zip out a few more screws. We've got to take this truss off with the screws right here. Once that comes off, we'll be able to take the lockouts out and then separate the case. Okay, so once you've got all your screws out, first you can pull this upper truss off, and then the housing just comes apart. I push on the pinion, there we go, and you can see inside. Now some people have said that theirs were dry inside. As you can see, mine seems like it's pretty well greased, and so far everything looks like it's in good shape, but we're going to continue the teardown. Alright, so this is the stock plastic differential, and I don't have a whole lot of run time on this thing yet, but I have used it a little bit. Mine still looks real good. I don't see any sort of egging or distortion. The axles were pretty tight trying to pull them out. But that said, I still do want to get to the upgraded once we don't have any problems in the future. Alright, so now we've got the new one right next to the old one. And the new one is Redcat part number 180009. The Redcat pieces are available locally. The same part number under the HSP brand is also available. And if you look around and you don't mind shipping them from China, you can get them more inexpensively. I was able to get both of them for under $18. One thing that you do want to be aware of, though, is that mine came loose. You can see that it's not tight. So before we install it, we're going to have to make sure that we take these out, put some Loctite on each one of the screws, and then reinstall them. And that way we won't have any problems. Alright, so we've got everything back together. I've got Loctite on the screws, and I've got them snugged up. There was more than enough grease in this housing for me to be able to completely coat these gears. So now I can go ahead and reassemble. Alright, so once you get done tightening everything up, you can reinstall the parts into the differential. One friendly reminder is that you don't want to forget to swap the bearings from the old differential over to the new one, like I did the first time I put this together. And when you put your axles in, make sure that your axle bearings are sitting just inside of the end of the axle. That way everything will fit properly when you put it back together. Alright, so once you've got this back together, now you can just go ahead and reinstall it in the vehicle. So a quick little tip here, when you're reinstalling your rear differential, it's a whole lot easier to get these links reattached if you flip the vehicle upside down and let it stand on the body posts. That keeps everything right where you need it, and you can just drop the pieces right into place and go ahead and reinstall the nut and bolt. So we've got the differential out, and it was a pretty easy process to remove. The first thing that you want to do is unplug the servo from the receiver and then just clip the couple of wire ties that are holding the wire to the frame. Once you do that, what I did was to remove the two upper links that were mounted right here. Then I flipped the vehicle upside down. Flipping it upside down gave me real easy access to the lower links and the shock mounts. You take those out and then everything comes right apart. So now we're going to go ahead and actually disassemble the differential itself, and we're going to replace the plastic locker, and we're going to upgrade to the CVAs. Okay, so to be able to take the C-hubs off, there's a screw on each side. You just take those off, and then the whole thing will pull right out. Okay, so there's 4 screws that will allow you to pop the servo off. Once you get the servo off, you've got these 3 countersunk screws in the top, as well as screws on the sides of this brace, and then the upper 2 screws that hold the diff housing together. And once you remove all of those screws, then this whole assembly will pull right apart. Alright, so once you take out those last couple of screws, that upper piece pulls right off, and now you can take the whole housing apart. So you take the housing apart, and you can see that there's some grease in here, but most of it doesn't seem to be on the gears. On the rear differential, it seemed like they were greased up a lot better. But once you're here, you can take the top piece, put it aside, and now what we want to do is pop these pieces out, and then we're going to replace it with the new aluminum differential, and we're going to use the CVA axles. So here are the CVA axles that we're going to install. You can see that this is Redcat part number 13849. In order to put your front differential back together, it's basically exactly the opposite of the removal process. Sometimes it might feel like it takes 3 hands to be able to hold the differential along with the knuckle and C-hub without having the axle slide out. But work on it, you'll get it. Once you can get it slid back together, everything else goes pretty much straightforward. Then you go ahead and put it back into the vehicle again. It's pretty much exactly the opposite of the removal process. Okay guys, so we've finished our durability upgrades. We've upgraded the lockers in both the front and rear axles, and we've also added the CVA axles to the front of the vehicle to replace the dog bones. So the pair of metal lockers cost about $17. The CVAs were $15. So this week's upgrades cost about $32. We add that to the total, which is currently at $202, and now we've got $234 invested in this vehicle. Hopefully that gives you guys some ideas, and we'll see you on the trails.